Hello, everybody. It's 8:54 a.m. Central Time on the 14th of August, 2022. It's Sunday here in the United States. Hope you're doing well. Got some breaking news for everybody. An upper 6 to low 7 earthquake, could be anywhere from a mid-range 6 all the way to a low-end 7, just struck north of New Zealand. And I'd like to actually get a display capture turned on here and just quickly go look up the earthquake information, show the audience. Now, before we get into looking this up, I have to show you what happened before this quake. Look at the spread of upper 5s to low 6s, which struck last night, going into this morning. This is about 2 days worth of earthquakes at the most. Going out of Asia, the most recent over in Asia, marked in white, and then this light pinkish color all yesterday across the entire plate boundary. Now, the plate boundary is something I really should show you from the USGS plate boundary map. You can understand what I'm talking about here just a little bit easier. So we'll look over in the West Pacific and zoom in on this red-colored quake. This is the Indo-Australian plate. And what I just showed you was a series of earthquakes coming out of Indonesia from yesterday, going all the way back and across over to Tonga or Vanuatu. And the spread, the spacing on these quakes, make note of the spacing. This is 24 hours of quakes from the USGS, from North Japan down to the plate boundary at Tokyo, back down to the south to Okinawa, all the way down to Philippines, South Philippines, back across to Papua New Guinea. Notice the spacing on these. The spacing, I stand by this. This is a spacing of a very low frequency wave where the wave peaks are coming up, or it could be the trough or the bottom of the wave, but I think it's the peaks. The peak of the wave is coming up across a vast distance and dropping off the earthquakes all the way along the way. So then you look at the quakes over the last day, day and a half, 2 days, and it's a stepping stone path of somewhat equal spaced quakes back down to this mid to upper 6, low 7. Now, the USGS has weighed in, bringing it in, of course, at a 6.6. But we'll leave it right now. Let's go check, actually. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 6.6 to 6.8. Let's go look it up and see what we've got on our origin page for magnitudes. How are they coming to their determination of this? Well, they're not showing. No magnitude information is available yet. So, yeah, I think we're going to be probably relying on the New Zealand agency, which is a little troubling since they will rate their earthquakes as noticeable and not noticeable. And if it's not noticeable, it's considered a small earthquake. I've seen them list 7s as not noticeable because guess what? A 7 out in the ocean and no one's there to notice it. They consider it not noticeable and put it on the back end of their page and don't even really tell their people about it much. I've already seen them do that several times. So if we get a 7 out here and nobody feels it, it's the famous proverbial, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And I was just talking about this on the stream no more than a few minutes ago, that the answer is correct. It doesn't make a sound. A sound is something that's heard by someone or something, but it does generate an audio wave. So while the New Zealand agency might list the earthquake as unnoticeable, even though it's an upper 6 to low 7, it's an actual noticeable, significant earthquake to strike on the plate boundary. And one more time, I'd like to take you back over to the USGS plate boundary map and show you the whole area which has moved from Japan, all in a snaking pattern, all the way back down and across over to New Zealand, but then also going across Australia directly, going right across the center of the craton. Let me show you the quakes over the past day. So, the spacing on these quakes, like I talked about going around the outside edge of the plate boundary, but look what's going right across Australia. Well, of course, same kind of spacing, but it's going through the center of the plate. So this whole section here, we'll go back to the USGS plate boundary map, going from up here at Indonesia, across Australia, down to the coast, and then down to the Dutch Sins logo down here at the Antarctica border. I'm going to bring it in, and it looks like a period at the end of my name, a 4.9. This is where we put our logo here years ago. But really, the spread is going across the whole center of the plate. So the whole Indo-Australian plate from right here at the seam in the plate boundary on the north side, going across down to the south side, moving there and around the outside edge with a big break over on the eastern side. About an hour ago, I got on here talking to the chat room over on Twitch and talked about this whole section breaking apart. Then this new 7 just hit, or upper 6, whatever you want to call it. If you're in the chat room and you were here to hear me talking about the spot breaking before the 7 hit, go ahead and hit 1 now in the chat room, and I'll just jump over it, see what's going on. Or I don't even know if I've got it open. Maybe I do. Yeah, here we go. So if you were in, there we go. A lot of people were in chat just a little bit ago as we were talking about it. Then this earthquake just struck. Look at all the people in there. Good to see you guys all in here. I'm surprised that the number is what it is right in here, considering this is open to the public. I do have some troubling news, guys. I made my chat room public over on Twitch. And when I made it public, the number of viewers just disappeared. It went down through the floor when I opened it up to the public. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I think I'm being punished. I can't explain it. Again, you open your chat room up to the public. It was private before, and there's less people in there. Anyway, not complaining about the numbers. Do have to tell you, the only numbers I will complain about are if they take this earthquake down. If they try to downgrade this quake beyond a certain measure, I'll start to think something weird is going on. It looks like the plate boundary is receiving the wave down here to the south in New Zealand. I don't know if these are actual earthquakes or if they're just literal vibrations from the big one that just hit. It takes a few minutes for the waves, or even longer sometimes, to come down the plate boundary and go over to New Zealand, for instance. Let me show it to you here. So we just had our big break up here, and then within a few minutes down here to the south, just at Kaikoura or south of Wellington, we start seeing 4s be reported. Those might not be 4s. I mean, they could be, but they might not be. It might be just vibration from the big quake itself, following the plate boundary like a wave guide, guiding the wave down to the south. We'll wait and see if they keep those earthquakes on there as actual breaks, because also, when a big earthquake happens on a plate boundary, the plate boundary can shift, in which case you can actually get earthquakes downstream, if you will, or at least away from where the big earthquake is on both sides of the plate boundary as it shifts, if it's a big shift. And I would think it would be a big shift at a 7.0 level, upper 6 to low 7. This fulfills our forecast for an upper 6 to low 7 to come back in the area. However, I'm looking right here. We're looking right here, guys. We're looking right in the middle, going over to the letter S shape in the plate. So the big one I'm looking for should be striking in Indonesia. We should see mid-range to upper 6s strike the Alaskan Aleutian Island chain. South Japan. Also, Indonesia should be getting the big one. So I don't think we're done yet. I think we're going to be seeing a big earthquake in Indonesia that's bigger than this. And one other thing I'd like to point out to all my viewers before I sign off here is that we normally see a back and forth across the Pacific when we get something like this. Something in the 7 range, mid to upper 6, low 7. We see a back and forth go between South America, Central America, and the West Pacific. So I would not rule out a new noteworthy earthquake in South America coming in between all of our current sets of earthquakes. And that puts us right here to the south point of Peru, north coast of Chile, just smack in the middle of all those small quakes. Well, not small, 4s, moderate quakes. And just look down to the middle of it. Think of it like a 2-arm scale where we're balancing in between. And you have a deep earthquake down below South America as the balance point between the two arms of the scale. And in the middle is where the new break is going to take place. The new amount of weight is going to be applied to the scale. So, I mean, it's about to go through the roof. We're going to be going over here in the West Pacific. We already just went here next to New Zealand. The Indo-Australian plate boundary just broke. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about Europe. I could talk about the other locations that have deep earthquakes. Why are we watching the Aleutian Island chain for mid-range 6? Why are we watching Japan for now for mid-range 6? Well, we have a deep 5 down below Japan. And out and away, we watch for a magnitude larger. So out and away over to the Aleutians, in the middle between our current sets of earthquakes here, in the open zone where it looks like an arrow tip almost. And back down behind it, back where all the earthquakes are, overlapping, and their rings are basically bringing us in down here in South Kyushu, Japan. Europe started to move. Multiple fives breaking out across Turkey, going into the Aegean Sea. Also North Africa going into South Europe. And that's going to be going around the outside edge of Europe. We're going to see fours go around the outside edge of Europe and go right up here off the coast of UK, actually, in the next few days. It's not like you get it all the time. So if you're in Great Britain, guys, watch out, okay? Or UK, over here, it's the east side of the country. Also coming out of Eastern Europe, Romania going into Poland. They're going to get hit again. A new set of fours. Algeria, you can check it off the list if you're keeping track of areas that I named down here in South Europe going into Africa. Also Albania, check it off the list. I named Albania, Montenegro, and now it's been struck with a 4 in the past hour. Getting back to it, a big earthquake has struck over here in the West Pacific. Now they really are doing some crazy downgrades. We're taking it down, 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 down. Now we're down to 6.4. It's getting asinine with the crazy downgrades. They took them all down yesterday to 5.9. All the 6s down to 5.9s across the board. So every 6 is a 5.9. Every 6.9 is a downgrade. Get it as low as possible. I don't know why they're doing it at this point. If I did this, everybody would call me shady and accuse me of fraud and everything else if I was just taking all the quakes and taking them down, down, down. If I changed all the 6s to 5.9s, you bet people will call me out for it. If I changed any earthquake to be anything, people will call me out for it. Yeah, anyway, okay. Word up, much love. You guys, I'm going to save this as a video. We're going to go upload it to YouTube. People need to know that the 7 just hit. Or wait, I'm sorry. Downgrade. What is it, a 5.9? We're going to take the 7 down to a 5.9. Wouldn't that be funny? I wouldn't put it past them. If they do, I'll laugh. I'll totally laugh. But we'll wait. We'll give them benefit of the doubt. It's not like there's bad people everywhere, guys. But I do not trust anyone. I even don't trust my eyes sometimes, so I have to double check things to make sure that they're doing what I'm saying they're doing. All right, so we're at 6.4. It is what it is. Once we get down to 5.9, we can just go ahead and ride it off. It's not even a quake. Why do I even report it? We could just delete it. We should just delete the quake. Does it even matter? It's out in the middle of nowhere, out in the ocean. Does anybody even care? What do you guys care? Nobody lives there. There's no wave. Who cares? Oh, you want to know about earthquake? Nah. You don't need to know. It's like the weather, man. Who cares? Who cares unless it's coming at you? You don't need to know about the weather coming off the west coast or wherever and coming towards you. Big low pressure system. Schmo pressure system. Who cares? All right. Much love, everybody. We're going to hit stop and we're going to upload to YouTube next and premiere it back for everybody to watch. It's important to see this. The big spread of earthquakes going across the West Pacific that led to this. And we're not done yet. But you watch in a few days when another huge earthquake hits, and this one, the next one should be over in Indonesia, or very close to it. But when the next big one hits, everybody acts like they're caught off guard. They all act shocked, and it's an act because you try to tell them and show them. So, anyway, all right, not complaining. Much love, everybody. Now, before I wrap this finally up, let me remind everybody here, and please listen. You need to know what to do when an earthquake strikes. This is basic stuff. It's take shelter underneath a table or a desk. Don't run around screaming earthquake. It turns out everybody already knows an earthquake is striking. So if you're in an area and an earthquake's hitting, everybody around you already knows. They're already aware. You don't have to scream it or run around and tell them. Instead, you should get underneath something to protect yourself from falling objects. Now, in other countries, they tell the people to come out of the buildings. And that's because of the structures they're in. Cinder blocks, stacked structures, and so forth. Like, one layer thick and not reinforced. Building code minimal in some of these countries. So they tell the people to go outside and get away from the structures. And so you'll see video of people in other countries running out with their hands over their heads, trying to protect it from falling debris. Like that's going to help if a brick's falling. But In the United States, they tell us all drop, cover, and hold on to get underneath something. And that the chances of your collapsing structure actually collapsing on you is slim in comparison to you getting hit with something if you're running around or running outside. So, but you have to know your surroundings. So, like, I used to work in a warehouse, for instance, back at AT&T and Southwestern Bell back in my younger days, 25 years ago. This place was like a 50-foot to maybe 75-foot tall warehouse, single stack cinder block with the metal flat roof and huge tall racks of shelves full of cell phones and heavy boxes. And I used to think about this. This is back before I was even into earthquakes at all. But I would look around and I thought, man, what if there's ever an earthquake in here? Like this, the huge, tall cinder block wall. What's going to happen there? Crack, break, fall. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And then the shelves, I mean, with all the cell phones on them, 20, 30 feet high. It's like we're working in the Amazon warehouse. Do you want to be in there in an earthquake? So you need to know what to do, which is to drop, cover, and hold on. But drop, covering, and hold on will not protect you from a falling, collapsing structure. So you got to know when to leave, when to stay, and when to go. Second thing you're going to need is an emergency kit. Now, you're not going to be wearing it at work, but you're going to need something like that at your house, most likely. So at your home, you need to have an emergency kit. And I have mine in a backpack. People call it a bug out bag when you're bugging out. Emergency kit. And it has a change of clothes, set of shoes. It's got food for a couple days for me and the Duchess. And it's the dry, prepackaged kind. So like granola bars, fruit roll-ups, high protein, high energy, high sugars. Now for the water, I've got a pump. It's up to you to figure out what you're going to do with the water. Water's heavy. So carrying it around with you or something is going to be pretty hard. And so you're going to have to come up with a solution for your water. I've got a backpacker's pump that will pump brackish water and nasty water and spit out some clean water. It'll do a few thousand gallons. Thing was like $250. It's expensive for the water pump. But anyway, you guys, those are just some ideas. There's another basic idea, and I give this one out too all the time, which is just so basic. A pair of shoes or a pair of hard-bottom slippers next to your bed. So basic. But if a big earthquake hits and there's things broken across the floor, thank me later. Or if the fire evacuation is happening, it's one less thing that you have to go and grab or try to find as you're running around your house. So just something basic like that even can make a big difference for you. Much love, everybody. Peace out.